It's been a tough few days on the front. Cleethorpe, Smith and Heifer and Pip Daniels all bought the farm, damn it. Field Marshal, not on my face anywhere, just not on my face, has started drawing up plans for evasive maneuvers against Jerry that involve us building a large catapult out of twigs, bits of Jeff, and a pair of my mother's lucky bloomers that I carry stuffed in a pillow to ward off goblins. And Colonel Berringhume, you know, the one with the lips, has lost all the buttons off my tunic, but still he demands me properly dressed in the morning. When I explain I can't because of the buttons thing, under heavy artillery fire he makes me run 3 rounds of a makeshift rocket pitch they've built on a battlefield using old toupees of fallen bombardiers. Despite all of this madness, my spirits remain fairly high, with thoughts of Celia and her pet elephant Margaret. I miss the noise the two of them would make when Uncle Perringhat would enter the Glockenspiel warehouse and catch them playing tiddlywinks without the proper rubber trousers. I miss the smell of waking up accidentally in Margaret's cleft. And I missed the soft touch of Celia's flipper as she stroked my face while making elk omelettes in a skillet she'd fashioned out of old whale's teeth and Russ Abbott's hairnets. Things may never settle down here, and we may be fighting this bally-stupid war for many more years to come. But it's ration day tomorrow, and so I will get my Thompson's powdered milk chocolate cup, my protein sandwich, and, if I'm very, very lucky, some wolf spit and some stale pita bread. Something I can tell you can get quite a taste for when mostly all you eat is mud or bits of your own clothing. Now, though, it's wireless time, and my favorite show is about to start. Let's see if I can get it on this old contraption, shall we?
You're listening to the sweet sounds of the After Movie Diner with your host, Jon Cross.
Hello, 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 hello. Yes, just put it over there, put it over there, put it over there. Oh, you got that all wrong, you fucking idiot. Hello, and welcome to the After Movie Diner. Before we get to the wonderful film discussion that we had this week, we actually received a voicemail. Let's roll it, shall we?
Hello, my name is Henry, and I'm from the city of Los Angeles, and I've been a long time listener to your podcast. It's just absolutely the greatest thing I've ever heard, and I totally appreciate all the hard work and effort you put into making such a wonderful podcast. Man, I just can't express how much I just totally enjoy listening to you guys. I love Jim, I love John, I love all the other guests, and I totally just can't believe the hard work and effort you guys put into it. I wish I was that talented and I could come up with something like that. But anyway, please keep up the good work, and I'm looking forward to listening to the further episodes. Thank you guys very, very much, and you guys are totally awesome. You guys rock.
Well, Henry, if you do exist, of course we do. We're awesome. You clearly stated that. But no, who knows who this Henry guy is? The first we've heard of him. I don't remember Henry writing in or a voicemail from him in the past. But my goodness, what praise. It's almost enough to make a man jump out of bed in the morning and say, you know what, today I'm going to do more podcasting. Henry, I can't tell you how good that made me feel to hear that. Of course, again, you might not be real. You might be someone pranking me. You might be Philip O'Neill from Sweden doing a strange accent. Who knows? You might be all sorts of things. But if you are legitimate, then, Henry, all I can say is thank you very much, and encourage others to do the same. It doesn't all have to be complimentary, of course, but please do leave us a voicemail by calling 347-669-0053. That's 347-669-0053, and we will play your beautiful tones on air and comment on them afterwards in an embarrassingly improv fashion. Anyway, thanks ever so much for that voicemail. Also, don't forget, if you want to contact the After Movie Diner, you can write to us at hello@aftermoviediner.com. That's hello@aftermoviediner.com. That's hello@aftermoviediner.com. So do write to us, or again, send us a voicemail at 347-669-0053. Now on with the show. And on the After Movie Diner this week, we have a very special guest indeed. He is Professor of Pungent and Wafty Magics at the Bullsack School for Fine Art and Lunacy. He hasn't been on the show for a spell. For a spell, get it? His name is Professor Aloysius Fuknuckle. Is that how am I pronouncing it correctly?
It should really be Fook-Noo-Klay.
Fook-Noo-Klay, that's
Yes.
right, yes.
And it's the Balzac School, not the Balzac School.
Not Bullsack School,
No.
of Fine Art and Lunacy.
Yes, quite right.
Okay, excellent. And what is fine or artistic about anything you do?
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
Because simply with wafty spells, it's very difficult to make them artistic because they tend to just waft away.
Well, indeed, yes. But they do clear a room.
Oh, in seconds, especially the green one.
What? The green room?
The green waft.
Oh, the green waft.
Yes.
The pungently green waft.
Yes, there's something
indeed.
about the green that makes people think it's going to be bad. In fact, it isn't.
No.
But they do think.
They see the green.
That they think something nasty is coming.
Right.
And
it's not. It's actually quite floral.
It is lovely and floral, but they see the waft and they waft off.
Right. And it is problematic, though, the floral for people with allergies.
Well, who cares?
Well, who cares about them? We've got you on the After Movie Diner to discuss movies, obviously. And yesterday we watched two such movies. They were indeed filmic in their nature, and they were both of the war-type boys' own adventure, daring do style film.
They did indeed seem to resemble films.
They did, yes. There was a beginning and an end, and in the middle stuff happened. They are, well, why don't you first of all tell us what the two films are and what their common themes are?
The first film we watched was Where Eagles Dare.
And do they dare, though? Do they?
Sometimes.
Okay.
But there weren't many eagles in the picture, whereas in The Eagle Has Landed,
Yes.
which is the second film we watched,
Yes.
there were also no eagles.
No
so
eagles.
the theme is war eagles
Yes.
that are sadly missing from the films that we're talking about today.
And if the people had eagles as part of their battalion, would the thing that they're trying to do, the mission that they're on, would it have gone smoother or more dangerous?
Well, certainly in the case of Where Eagles Dare,
Yes.
an eagle on your side would have been greatly advantageous. There was an awful lot of climbing and carrying stuff up mountains.
Right.
So the ability to fly would have been a marked improvement on watching Richard Burton hanging on the end of a rope.
Right, hoisting himself up the side of a castle in Bavaria.
Squeezing out a hernia.
Yes, indeed. If I don't know what I'm saying.
You're saying if.
I'm saying it a lot, and I don't mean to be saying it a lot. So the first film, Where Eagles Dare, we found out that eagles do dare, but we don't see any of them. And where are eagles? Because it's asking the question, where eagles dare, where do they dare, and where did they dare?
Well, in this case, not in the castle in Austria, in the Alps, where the action all takes place. They may have been daring someone else, but at the time, when the film was made... Bavaria, Austria, somewhere down where it's
somewhere there isn't Germany.
It's mountainous and full of Nazis.
Yeah.
So
in this film,
in that particular film, we can be sure that the eagles weren't there at any given time, but they may have been there before, after, or indeed nearby.
Yes, and I would like to stop the podcast very quickly to just say I'm currently sipping on a Boylan's orange soda. Boylan's, the best soda and the discernible soda for the discernible gentleman.
And I'm drinking a glass of water, and I'm hoping for a sponsorship deal as a result.
Yes, indeed. So it's fantastic. So yes, we watched Where Eagles Dare, which is probably one of my favourite war films of all time, because it's really more of as I said, a boy's own adventure. Lots of daring do. They've got to get a chappie out of a castle when it turns out he's not the chappie.
He's a different chappie, and then there's double crossing and flips and twists. It's quite almost like watching the Olympics at some points.
Yes, as long as abseiling becomes an Olympic sport.
Yes, indeed. Or being clearly fat, drunk, and over the hill, but still apparently being able to wrestle two gentlemen off a cable car.
Yes, it's indeed a reassuring story for many of us who see the impending arrival of middle age and realising that, quite frankly, it doesn't mean a thing because you can still swing on the end of a rope if you're a total alcoholic.
Yes, indeed. And not only that, but you can have not one but two gentlemen being pulled by the trouser leg while on a cable car, and the trousers remain very well and truly on. I feel like they did miss a trick at that point of not having Burton's trousers do a Burton.
Yes, it's a great shame, but interestingly, I think Richard Burton did gain 2 inches during that scene.
He did. 2 inches in all the right areas.
Quite right.
So why don't we back up a little from the whole cable car fisticuffs? I'm terribly sorry about the commotion and police action that seems to be going on outside. Hopefully that will die down, but it is Brooklyn of an afternoon. So, but let's back up a little second from here, and let's go with the plot without... I mean, we could spoil some of it. I mean, let's tell the listeners right now, you should watch it. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. So now we can kind of talk spoiler-free, but go watch it because it is great, and you would concur?
Oh, absolutely.
Excellent. So now why don't we go through just briefly the plot of Where Eagles Dare? You start and I'll jump in.
Well, it begins with a plane flying through said mountainous region. No sign of eagles. Although if you look carefully down into the valley floor, you do see someone doing a blue wafty spell.
Yes.
Which is frankly more about dentistry than it is about clearing a room.
Yes.
And this plane flies through the mountains for a little bit.
And
over to you.
Were there any beards at all? Beards? Sorry, birds. Were there any? There wasn't any beards either.
No
one had a beard.
No beards, no birds.
No beards or birds.
Frankly overlooked by the director there.
Yeah, it's called Where Eagles Dare. They're flying through the mountains. First of all, no eagles, but not even a hawk, not even a sparrow, not even a tit hedge or whatever they're called. A nuthatch. A tit hedge? I don't know what it is.
Other names which we can just sort of dab together and try and make a bird out of them.
A tit nut.
As long as it's got tit in it, we can really make a bird out of it.
But I'm saying, there wasn't even a
no sign of a tit whatsoever.
No tits. Well, Mary shows up later.
Right, yes.
You don't see her tits, and she's not carrying a parrot. I mean, there's no birds whatsoever. I mean, in fact, I would actually say, of all the films I've ever watched, considering there's a bird's name in the title, it was probably the most birdless film, that I've ever seen.
Yes, complete and total dearth of birds.
Because birds tend to like a more warm climate, and this was a particularly frigid.
There was a frosty nature to the whole thing, certainly.
It was. Not even an owl, though, and owls are partial to the snow.
So, anyway, we're watching this plane.
Yes.
On a bird's eye view, ironically.
So anyway, the plane goes through the Alps.
The plane goes through the Alps, and
on the plane
are some gentlemen.
They're on the plane,
yes,
or are they in the plane?
They're both.
Yes,
they're on, under, and through certain parts of the plane.
Right, indeed. And they are about to parachute out.
Yes,
and then we jump back. There's a flashback to them getting their mission orders.
Yes,
and their mission orders are that they have to go into a remote castle in Bavaria / Austria / Nazis, where they have to get out an American colonel,
general, I think.
Colonel,
yes.
Chappie. They have to get him out of the castle because he has details on the second front. Apparently, this gentleman has more than one front, which is quite pleasing. Most people are born just with the one front. I don't know about you, but I've only ever had one. But he has information on how to gain a second front.
Yes. Some vital information, and there's no way we could let the Germans know about having a second front.
Right. Because
they'd misuse it. It'd be impossible to try and shoot them because you'd shoot them in the front, and you'd have another front to shoot them in, and all of a sudden they'll just go around and stab you in the back, of which you only have one.
You only have the one back.
Yes,
but they would have two fronts.
There's never a second back.
Never in my entire history of military knowledge have I come across a second back.
No.
So, there's a lot of chappies who are like, well, why don't we just bomb the castle, and why don't we do this, and why don't we do that? And they're like, well, we can't do that, and there's lots of reasons why, and da-da-da-da-da. So in they go, bunch of people. So they land on the side of a mountain, and we then see, tucked away in the dark recesses of the plane, Mary... That's how you pronounce that name.
Yes, they all jump out.
Grandmother to Midge, I believe.
Yes, quite so.
Who co-wrote Do They Know It's Christmas? And I've heard from people who have been to Africa that they're well aware of Christmas and that song is pretty wrong.
Right, well, we'll write him an angry letter later.
Well, it's because of all the missionaries. They told them all about Christmas.
Right.
Yes.
Yes, well, they have to have something to talk about.
Yeah.
So they all jump out of the plane, or the gentlemen jump out of the plane before Mary magically
she emerges
appears,
and then she jumps out of the
as
plane.
a surprise person to be jumping from the plane.
Right, and we've got Richard Burton, Clint Eastwood, and a bunch of
also runs
knobbly-headed character actors.
Yes.
Jump out of the plane.
Yes.
And once they're on the ground, on the mountain, they find one of their team dead. Burton does a little bit of investigation, realizes that, surprise, surprise, it was not an accidental neck snap from a dodgy landing. It was, in fact, a purposeful kill. They then go down to a cabin. They all hang around and have coffee. Jock makes coffee. Burton says I've forgotten the code book, so I have to go back up the mountain. He doesn't really go back up the mountain. He goes into a shed, and him and Mary get it on.
Yes, well, there's no better place than the shed on the side of the mountain to run into Mary.
Grandmother to the aforementioned Midge. So
anyway, so there's more hiking, lots more hiking, and
Yeah.
they're heading for this castle in the Austro-Bavarian Nazi environment that's lacking in eagles.
Yes, that's lacking in eagles. And along the way, there are, as we say, their members are being picked off, and it is clear that something is afoot and amiss, or a Mrs. Foot, or a Mr. Foot. But someone's missed something.
Yes.
And other people have died. But there's a scene in a beer hall where there's almost tits in that one, and there's certainly cleavage.
Well, there's cleavage, absolutely, but no sign of birds.
No sign of birds whatsoever. The most confusing thing about the film at this point, apart from its distinct lack of ornithological creatures, was the fact that we are told in the preamble, in the sequence with Michael Hordern and the other chappie, that these guys they're stealthy, they're secretive, and they all speak fluent German. Mm-hmm. Yet, apart from a little bit at the end in the castle, no one actually speaks German in the film. We are to assume that when they are making a joke or talking normally or whatever it is around Germans, that they are actually really speaking German and that the Germans are aware of it. But then there's also sequences where at a German bar, they're clearly talking about the mission very loudly at a German bar, which doesn't make sense because of either one or two things is happening. Either they're talking about the mission in English, in which case some chappie would be like, hang on a second, those two chappies up at the bar are clearly English, wearing German uniforms, get 'em, France. Either that, or they're talking about the mission in German, in which case anyone who understood German would be like, wait a minute, they're talking about something very secretive.
Yes.
And possibly treasonous.
Yes. Whereas it would have made more sense if
Yes.
they just broke into Urdu and we could have seen Clint Eastwood speaking Urdu
Right.
as a common language that nobody speaks.
Or, and here is a theory, and it's just a theory, but what if they had sung about the mission? Like, what if they had broken into a song and dance number, Clint Eastwood and Richard Burton?
Oh, established musical actors, certainly.
Yes.
Yes, I mean, the bar was a little crowded, so they would have had trouble with some of the moves, but
Right.
I see no reason why they couldn't have branched into song at that point.
Because you know how in musicals, after a song finishes, no one says, wait a minute, why were we all singing just then? Everyone just accepts it. They're absolutely fine with it. It's almost as if it didn't happen. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. If you really want to disguise a secret mission, the best thing to do is do a big song and dance number. Because afterwards, no one will comment on it because they'll believe it didn't happen.
Very crafty. I like it.
That would be good. But anyway, so there's clearly stuff going on. Burton, Eastwood is kind of twigged a little. Eastwood is sort of says to Burton, you know, we both know that wasn't an accidental death. We both know you weren't up the mountain. What's going on, Johnny McLad? What are we doing here? And Burton begins to explain. Then we go to Mary, played by Mary, which is interesting that she was playing a character with the same name. She disguises herself as Maria to get into the castle as the cousin of someone else that Burton has working there, a lady who works in the beer hall and in the castle, conveniently. And she smuggles Maria in as their lady on the inside.
Yes, played by Ingrid Pitt.
Whose
surname is much easier to pronounce.
Yes. And Ingrid's Pitt really is phenomenal. I mean, it's one of the best Pitts.
I've never seen it.
She's the grandmother of Brad Pitt.
You'll have to show me a photo.
Yeah. She's the grandmother of Brad Pitt. Oh. Much like Mary is the grandmother of Midget.
Exactly.
Which is someone who is even smaller than a midget, because it's midgeter. It's like you're the midget, well, I'm midgeter.
Yes, you have midger and then midgeter, obviously smaller.
Yes, and then Wyatter, which is the Western character. That's a very small dwarf sheriff from the time of the red sashes. We're off the point a little bit. But basically, espionage. There is a big Agatha Christie-style showdown in a big banquet hall within the castle, where we find out that 3 of the parachute regiment that dropped into the Bavarian, Austro-Hungarian, German Alps were actually German spies working for the British. Burton comes in, tells a tall tale, twists everybody's head around, whips out his notebook, and essentially confuses everyone to the point where Clint Eastwood can pick up a gun and shoot them all in the face.
Yes, nicely put. Yes, that's the denouement scene.
Yes, and what's funny is it comes at about 50 minutes in, and there's still another hour and 10 minutes of action.
Yes, because once they have the denouement, and lots of people have been shot,
yes, they
then have to escape.
Right, and escaping involves Clint Eastwood essentially machine gunning down 1 million Nazis.
Yes.
And also, despite parachuting in with just a small knapsack each and a radio, and despite losing a lot of those knapsacks, because obviously people die and then other people have left theirs at the cabin and various other things happen, they still have enough dynamite explosives with clocks on and special wire triggers to really, I mean, they must have hundreds of them, because they put them all along the road. He puts them all throughout the castle. At some points he flicks the switch and throws them as if they were a grenade. I mean, they have hundreds of them, and they're only ever with one bag.
Yes, one bag and a whole load of shameful product placement for dynamite.
Well, at one point we do see Mary packing them into a suitcase.
Yes, and there are also grenades to try and balance things up, but not many, and they're quite ineffective.
Yes, well, one of the best sequences for me is when the Nazi throws their grenade at Eastwood, and he picks it up, no thanks, don't want that, and throws it back and kills them all.
Yes, that one grenade having a 5 or 6 second longer fuse than every other single grenade in the film.
Yes, indeed. Well, it has to, because Eastwood has that magic.
Yes.
He has that power.
It just slows down time.
So really, the second half, you might be watching the first half of the movie and you might be going, come on, chaps, pick it up. This is meant to be a war movie. Where's the boom, boom, bang, bang? And then all of a sudden, just as you're lulled into a stupor, out come the explosions. And they really do not stop for about the last hour and plus of the movie.
Yes. There's a lot of running around the castle.
Blowing up the castle.
Blowing things up.
Yes.
Shooting huge numbers of Germans.
Yes.
Certainly never worrying about reloading guns.
No.
And yes, just running around.
We see that they have We see that they have 2 or 3 spare clips, but that's about it.
Yes, the spare clips do remain firmly unused.
Yes. Well, no, except when they're in the back of the bus. They're in the back of the bus. We do see them reload once.
Do we?
Mary hands Clint Eastwood a clip at one point.
Must have missed that one in all the excitement.
But yeah, so what's nice about this film is that all the things you see set up. So once Eastwood is firmly on Burton's side, you see them do a little bit of reconnaissance. You see them find a big bus with a plow on the front and some other stuff and things like that. And you're like, oh, okay, I wonder what that is. Anyway, then the movie carries on, and then all of a sudden at the very end, when they're escaping, you realize that everything they've set up in that sequence at the beginning, with when they get captured and everything, and then they push the car over the side, and then they start wiring up explosives along the road and all that kind of stuff, that all then comes back to play. Because suddenly when they have to escape, they all get in this bus with a plow on the front and go hightailing it across the Alpen roads with the Nazis in giving chase. And then they blow all the telegraph poles and all the trees, blocking the Nazis' road. And then when a Nazi motorbike and sidecar get past and keep chasing them, they then blow a bridge. The bridge over the River Allen.
Yes.
Which is...
That's very well summed up, yes. There's a lot of running, driving, shooting, occasional bits of climbing, some bombs, and they end up back in the plane again.
Yes, they do. But and then at the plane, there's one extra twist.
Yes. Well, by that stage, we're at least an hour after the last twist.
Yes, well, they have to have at least a twist an hour.
Yes, so they need to sandwich in another twist,
yes,
which is delivered.
Yes. What kind of sandwich would that be, then?
I'm not entirely sure, but given that the guy jumped out of the plane, I'm probably need some sauce to go with it.
So a saucy sandwich?
A saucy sandwich, yes. I'm just concerned about the texture of said sandwich.
Right.
Because, yes, I'm sure it would be probably jelly by that point.
So a jelly sandwich?
Jelly sandwich because of the nature of the distance that the person fell.
Right, but what if he hit water?
Oh, that's a very good point. Probably a milkshake.
Yes, okay. A milkshake sandwich? One would need some hefty bread to contain that.
Oh, you would. It'd be actually more sort of ciabatta pockets rather than
like a pocket,
slice.
like a pocket,
yes.
Like a pitta,
yes.
or a ciabatta.
Yes,
I like your thinking. Definitely a great film. Lots of action, well filmed, more or less understandable. Let's talk a little bit about the acting. This is a fairly early role. In terms of for Eastwood, that is not in a Western. Mm-hmm. This is one of his early non-Western roles. He is devoid of a poncho. At no point does he put one on, although he may be wearing one under his uniform.
True.
Although that might be tricky around the arms, just because of the nature of the poncho. Mm-hmm. But Eastwood and Burton, it's their show for most of the film. Mm-hmm. Burton is having fun with the odd zinger or a biting line that he has, delivering them with his usual sarcastic aplomb and deep Welsh accent. But Eastwood, what's your feeling on Eastwood in the film?
Well, certainly monosyllabic.
He's not given much, is he?
He's not given a great deal to say. He's given an awful lot of people. He may well kill more people than speak words.
Yes. Most definitely.
There's almost certainly more corpses than lines by the end of the film. He is absolutely monosyllabic. His facial expression essentially has two parts. Yes. There's the blank stare, yes, which runs through most of the film, including most of the killing scenes. Yes. And there's the hanging off the edge of a precipice, agonised face.
Right.
And really, there's very little in between.
True. I mean, I like him in the film because he's iconic, and he's definitely got the steely gaze. And I think that they do a good job with giving you the understanding that he's pretty much twigged from day one what is going on. Like, you get the idea that his brain is working pretty much behind the eyes.
There's a wily nature to him, certainly.
And we then find out later on that he's actually an assassin for the OSS.
Yes. Which, given the number of people he's killed by that point, isn't entirely shocking.
No, it's hardly a revelation, is it?
No.
It's kind of like saying, look at all those sandwiches that man has made. He must be a deli owner. Or a sandwich maker.
Exactly. Yes.
Possibly a butcher.
He almost certainly
So
has bought some bread.
it would be almost harder to ascertain the precise job of a sandwich maker.
Yes, well, there's a lot of variation in sandwich making. I'm sure there's a lot of variation in trained killer as well.
Right.
But we're never really given that kind of detail. He's just a trained killer.
He is.
And obviously well trained because he does a lot of it.
He does a lot of it, and he pretty good. And the only person who even gets so much as a nick is old Dickie Burt's. When he's shutting a door, foolishly leaves his hand outside the door enough to get grazed by a stray boulet.
Yes.
Is it boulet or bullet?
I've never asked one.
Oh, okay.
They
I just thought because
difficult to swap insurance details when they're going past so quickly.
Because your name is Fook-Noo-Klay.
Fook-Noo-Klay, yes, that's right.
I wondered if boulet was pronounced that way.
I don't know. I haven't asked my mother about anything other than my name.
Okay. So yes, your feelings on the film, Aloysius?
Overall, strangely structured. A little bit of strange pace, the way the denouement is flat in the middle of the film.
Yes.
And then it's interspersed either side by a lot of running, jumping, shooting, and climbing.
Yes.
Overall, a romp.
A romp.
An entertaining romp.
Yes.
Was held together by the chiseled jaw of Eastwood.
Yes.
Burton, you do get the feeling, isn't really expanding his acting chops with this one.
No, but he's expanding his
He's definitely expanding, and his chops are gaining size almost by the scene.
Pork chops.
Yeah, yes. So, overall, enjoyed it. Great deal. I wouldn't say it's a classic necessarily, but it's one of those war film romps which makes killing the Germans seem like bloody good fun.
Right. I would say it is a class. I mean, I think I probably like it more than you. Mm-hmm. I take the point that it is weirdly structured, but I like the fact. I'm one of those people. I like the fact that more or less, Burton and Eastwood stay ahead of everybody throughout the whole film. At no point do they really, and Burton more than anyone. But I mean, the plot is so insanely, like by the end of it, when you realise what they were trying to do the whole way along, the plot has so many moving parts that it would have fallen apart and failed almost instantly. But it goes off really to Burton's, intrinsic planning. It goes off without more or less of a hitch.
Yeah.
Even when in fact they do get kidnapped because the Germans send some Nazis into the beer hall under false pretenses because they know there's some Britishers hanging around, and they say that there are some deserter officers that they have to pick up. Even then, Burton's like, well, let's get arrested because we'll do better outside than we do. Well, I think Eastwood says this as well. We'll do better outside than we'll do inside. So let's throw our hands up and go, it was us. And even then, they get driven out they're being driven back to Berlin, is it? Where are they being driven? They're being driven somewhere. Driven mad, probably by the smell of sausage in the car. But they're driving along, and even then, they're able to escape from the car. They push them over the thing. The car explodes in the seating area rather than in the petrol tank area, which can only be explained probably by dynamite-filled whoopee cushions or something.
Yes.
That the Germans probably installed in their cars at the factory. Falls down the mountain, and then they're able to dynamite as we discussed earlier, the mountain road, and wander back into town. And I'm like, well, if they hadn't been kidnapped and they hadn't gone out of the mountain road, they wouldn't have been able to have escaped the way they did.
And where did they get the dynamite from?
Right, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So it's really quite remarkable that everything goes off without a hitch, but I quite like that. I don't want to necessarily, like in a romp like this, I don't want to be bogged down with, a bunch of things getting in the way of the plan. Let's just have the plan and off we go.
Quite.
So that was kind of fun. I like the... I agree with you, watching it again, neither Burton or Eastwood are doing anything particularly revolutionary in the roles. But it's fun.
It is.
And Mary is pleasing to look at, as is Ingrid's Pit. I love the action. I mean, there's more action than all three Expendable films put together. Eastwood kills more people than Rambo has for lunch. I think it is. You say it's not a classic. I think it is a classic. I think people, if you spoke to film fans, they would consider it a classic.
Well, I try not to.
Right. Except on this program.
Good point. I may have messed up there.
But in general, though, in general, though, I think it is a classic. But I think that with a lot of those films that you go back to with modern eyes and with hindsight, there are certain things to it that you're like, well, you know, the plot is convoluted and the pacing is weird and da-da-da-da-da, and the acting is not. But in general, I think that it is considered a classic. And it's one of those war films. I'm not big on war films, and I'm not particularly big on westerns. It's not my thing particularly. But in terms of this, I like the boy's own adventure aspect of it. It feels like a fantasy. It doesn't feel like, the trials of war. It doesn't feel like one of those films.
Yes.
No one is stroking a beard or puffing a pipe.
Yes.
So that's what I like about it. It's just a good old... Like, it might as well be an Indiana Jones film. You know what I mean? Like, they've got something to do. They've got to go into a castle. They kill all the Nazis. Like, it's fun like that.
It does set the tone for almost every other war film that followed, in that a small group of Allied soldiers take on the entire German army and win.
Yes.
Without, astonishingly, snuffing it immediately in the first 10 seconds.
Yes.
All the way through to Saving Private Ryan. Same thing. Small group of soldiers miraculously somehow defeat the entire German army.
Yes. Well, that's how it went down. There was only 7 people on the Allied side who fought all
Yes,
the might.
everyone else was at home with a pot of tea.
Well, it did. Also ready rub. But then I enjoy it. I like it. It's up there for me. And I strongly recommend it. And well filmed. I mean, not you don't watch it and go, my goodness, this is David Lean majesty. You just watch it and go, oh, that's bloody good.
Yes, and the scenery itself is always going to be impressive.
Yes.
The Austro-Bavarian Alps are quite a stunning environment to shoot anything. So
especially
really,
Nazis. Shoot Nazis.
You've got to shoot the Nazis.
Yes.
But really, just astonishing that they managed to capture all of that without getting the birds.
With no beard. With no birds. Or beards.
Or beards.
Or birds. Or beardy birds.
Yes, no beardy birds.
Or birded beards.
Yes. Or birds in beards.
So I personally give it 4 out of 5 as a movie.
That would be reasonable.
But I would say 1 out of 5 for birds. If you're going in...
very low bird score, but I was excited to see a wafty spell.
Yes. But I just felt like if you were going in as a twitcher with a view, maybe you're a member of the Autobahn Society or something, and you wanted to see some majestic feathered creatures flapping through the sky, probably won't.
Not the film for you.
Not the film for you. So don't be fooled by a clever title.
Exactly.
The eagle in question are some men.
Or just lacking.
Indeed. So I think we more or less agree. I just think
yes,
I have a history with the film that I don't think you necessarily do.
I don't,
and therefore my history with the film makes me like it a bit more. But I think I think the dialogue is good and the twists and turns are fun. There is that bit in the middle where Burton's going on about something. You're like, wait a minute. Is he a double agent, a triple agent, a single agent?
Yes.
All the single agents. All the single agents. All the single agents. Yeah.
For me, 3 to 4 out of 5 for being a romp.
Yes.
It looks good. Is uncomplicated apart from the middle 10 minutes when you have absolutely no idea what's going on.
Yes.
And then after that, it's all simple and shooting and banging. So, yes, 3 to 4 out of 5 for me on that one.
Good. And nice to have a film of that era in which the women play a part.
It is.
And they are,
They are considered, for the most part, equals in what they do.
More or less. I mean, Burton is particularly masculine and sort of dismissive in his relationship with Mary. But apart from that, Mary is alongside Eastwood on the back of the bus, killing Nazis with the best of them.
Yes, absolutely. And Ingrid played as well as a concealed agent within the Nazi camp.
Concealed, yet not really concealed because of the breasts.
That's true.
She's concealed. Her agent status is concealed.
It's a crafty outfit to wear, but yes, concealed where she should be and unconcealed where she shouldn't.
Which is quite possibly the best kind of person.
Exactly.
The After Movie Diner with Jon Cross will return right after this.
Here's what some people are saying about the Projection Booth podcast.
This podcast takes no shortcut in producing outstanding content. How they haven't become more widely recognized is beyond me.
I love this show. Smart commentary, in-depth interviews, and great production.
It's obvious how serious these guys take their podcast and bring that next level of professionalism that anyone would be hard-pressed to match.
The Projection Booth podcast, with new episodes available every week at projectionboothpodcast.com.
Do you like interviews? If you like interviews, then you'll want to be listening to Booth Talk from the After Movie Diner. It's a whole other podcast. It's all the things you love about the After Movie Diner, except that it's none of those things. It's just interviews with fascinating celebrity guests such as Tom Atkins, Clint Howard, Michael Ironside, Bruce Campbell, Larry Cohen, Bill Lustig, Barbara Crampton, you name it. All have sat in the squeaky leatherette booth of Booth Talk from the After Movie Diner. It's part of the After Movie Diner, but different. It's conversations with celebrity actors, directors, composers, and other people of that kind of thing. Go listen to it. It's Booth Talk. Check it out on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review it. And don't forget to follow us on blogtalkradio.com/Booth Talk.
You're listening to the sweet sounds of the After Movie Diner. Support us at patreon.com/After Movie Diner, or I'll punch you in the teats.
Okay, so with that, we move swiftly over to another almost birdless film.
Well, in this one, the eagle has landed, and so you'd think it would be easier to spot, but it isn't. It doesn't appear anywhere.
No.
So you can't see where it's landed,
no,
or even know if we're filming anywhere near where that eagle has stopped for lunch.
Right. And in this film, Donald Sutherland plays a marsh warden.
Yes.
And I didn't see any marshes.
No.
And there were no birds, which you would get around marshes. There would be a marsh warbler or a titmarsh or something. And there was none.
Yes. And he's inexplicably walking around with a shotgun the entire time that he apparently doesn't need because there is no livestock.
There is absolutely no animals.
Or anything anywhere within a 10-mile radius of what's going on.
No animals were harmed in the making of this movie. Neither were they filmed at any point. There's a horse. There is a horse.
You're absolutely right. There is a horse, but it doesn't fly.
No.
And as a result, doesn't qualify.
But it does get Jenny Agutter all over it.
It does. There's some very fast riding going on.
And if you are that horse, you are staggeringly lucky.
Yes. That was
Jenny
having a time.
Agutter. Or Agadoo.
No, I'm fine with Agutter.
Okay, good. So why don't we start again while you go through the plot again?
The Eagle Has Landed is another of these war films. It has a rich cast. I imagine they're all rich by now.
Or dead.
Or dead. Yeah, some of them are most certainly dead. But it's headed up by Michael Caine,
Michael Caine.
As I'd say, cue the impression.
Yes. Hello, my name is Michael Caine.
Excellent. We're going to go through each member of the cast list, and John is going to do an impression of each of them as we go. We have the organising colonel in the German army, played by Robert Duvall.
Hello, my name is Robert Duvall.
Donald Sutherland, obviously, and Donald Sutherland's accent does need to be heard to be believed.
To be sure, Begorra, Mary, Jesus and Joseph. To be Donald Sutherland, yes it be. I'm a twiddly don't know.
Actually, the most accurate impression out of all three of them, I have to say. And yes, a mixture of other casts in there. As we say, we have Jenny Agutters.
Donald Pleasence.
Donald Pleasence. We'll go into his part in quite some detail later.
I would like to go into Donald Pleasence's part in quite some detail.
Yes. You have Treat Williams. You have a remarkably...
Hello, my name's Treat Williams.
A remarkably entertaining Larry Hagman.
Who's basically playing Basil Fawlty.
Yes.
He may as well be running into things and being, Manuel! Polly, get over here! Yes.
And a solid supporting cast with members like John Standing.
John Sitting. Alan leaning a bit. Roger at a strange angle.
And Sven Bertil Tauber. Impression, please.
Hello, my name is Sven Burton Helmer. Oh, wasn't there Alan...
Alan, was he a relation?
Alan shows up for the money. And there wasn't... Anthony Quayle, wasn't it?
Anthony Quayle as Wilhelm Canaris.
Yes. Anthony Quayle, who is so obviously there for the paycheck that he's only in 2 scenes and doesn't bother doing a German accent. So It's really confusing. So this is an important point to make, because we had just watched a movie in which Allied forces pretended to be Germans and went into Germany and blah, 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 right? So it's all Allies versus the Nazis, all very obvious. This movie starts, and they're all bloody German, all of them.
Yes.
All differing types of Germans, but still, we're all on the bad guy's side. Mm-hmm. And Anthony Quayle is wandering around speaking English, he's not wearing a German uniform, he's wearing an indiscriminate, what looks like a naval tunic. And
he was an admiral.
That's what I mean. He looks like he's wearing an admiral's suit. But it could have been a British admiral, for all I knew. So I'm thinking, when the movie starts, I'm like, because Quayle is not doing a German accent, and because of the movie we just watched where they're all undercover, I thought that maybe, like at the beginning, I'm like, well, wait a minute, is he undercover? I wasn't expecting Robert Duvall to be a German. I wasn't expecting Michael Caine to be a German. I wasn't expecting any of this to take place, essentially, from the villain's side.
But the premise of this is that a group of German troops are assigned the task of parachuting into England and kidnapping Winston Churchill and taking him back to Berlin.
Yes.
Well,
it starts off because Donald Pleasence asks Robert Duvall, what's the possibility of this? Like, could it ever be done? Right?
Yes.
And Duvall has shifted. And he's like, well, actually, it might be able to be done. They get some information from Starling, who is their operative on the ground in this small, quaint village of made-up words. Doesn't actually exist. In Studley Constable Buttocks. They find this place. He goes, you know what? If Churchill was there, it's near the coastline. It's an easy pickup. It's going to be a small town. We could probably contain it. This could actually be done. Let's run it up the old flag Poland and see what we can shake loose. So then he goes to see Pleasence, who's playing
Heinrich Himmler.
And says, we could do this. And he gives him a little letter that says, go on, chaps, have a go. From Adolf.
Yes.
Love, Adolf. Hugs and kisses.
Dear everybody, do this guy a favour, would you? He seems to have a good idea.
Yes.
Cheers, Uncle Ad.
Yes. So then, back to what you were saying.
Yes.
Parachuting.
So they assemble a crack team.
A crack team of
paratroopers, led by Michael Caine.
Yes. Hello, I'm Michael Caine.
Thank you.
And I'm a bloody German.
Now, Michael Caine is a hero. In this one, he has all the medals
He's a German hero.
Yes, a German war hero.
German hero. Not a hero to me. Not a hero to me. I don't want him.
He's considered within his own army group as a hero. Yeah. He has every single one of the medals.
All of the medals.
Every single one. He collected all of the cereal boxes.
Yes.
And he literally every single addition to every medal. So everybody loves him until he rescues a Jewish lady from being transported to somewhere where you can only imagine is not very pleasant.
No one's getting pudding.
No, I wouldn't think so.
No.
And so he rescues said Jewish lady, puts her onto a train while arguing, yelling and fighting with the German soldiers who are tasked with putting everybody on the train. So he puts her on a different train, and then she immediately gets shot. He gets arrested, as do all of his men. So he then goes from being a hero to in a little spot of bother.
Right, but essentially that scene is to set up the fact that Michael Caine and his crack team of crack people, who are only loyal to him and to Germany, that these are German soldiers loyal to Germany, but not necessarily loyal to the Nazis.
Yes,
they're loyal to the country, not the bigotry that is suddenly rampant within it.
Yes, it's a scene that's really subtitled, "Not all the Germans are bad."
Right. But
it still has the stereotypic SS colonel yelling and shouting and carrying out the Holocaust.
Right. And Caine is the reason why he talks like Michael Caine through the whole movie. Not like that. He talks like Michael Caine. That was the worst impression yet. Is because he had done some time in England. He had lived in England.
He'd been to school in England, yes.
Yes, that's right. Which apparently is enough to get you a thick Cockney accent and to never sound like a German once in a movie.
Yes.
So yeah, that's weird, but okay, we'll go with it. So his team are then put on a penal colony island thing, where they then have to undergo punishment tasks, in which his team goes from being 31 strong to 16 strong.
Yes.
Because they die a lot.
They are sentenced to a penal colony on the island of Alderney, in the Channel Islands, where they are required to ride torpedoes into enemy shipping.
Right.
And it's really a 50-50 shot as to whether they escape that one without their brains being spread all over the English Channel.
Right.
So yes, they reduce in numbers very fast.
I have to say that one of the things that came up throughout the movie was that not a lot of this was very clear. This was all with hindsight that it was explained.
This was me explaining it.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Yes.
What isn't your middle name Hindsight? Isn't it Aloysius Hindsight?
There's two names. Heinz Zeit.
Oh, okay. From a German ancestor?
No. From Switzerland.
Okay.
And Essex.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. Heinz, traditional Essex name. He's in England.
Oh, like old Jeffy Heinz.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
okay. Right.
Of sauce fame.
Indeed.
Yes.
Who made the pickles?
By hand, sometimes.
By hand. Well, often. Bach. So yes, carry on.
Should I? Right. So, Duvall finds Caine and the remainder of his men on Alderney and offers them the chance to parachute into England and kidnap Winston Churchill.
Yeah.
And shockingly, they all say, yes, what's a marvellous idea. Now, in the meantime, Duvall has recruited Donald Sutherland,
yes,
who wanders into the movie with a drink,
yes,
and a cigarette,
yes, and
spends the rest of the movie pretty much with a drink and a cigarette,
yes,
in a bid to prove that he's Irish.
Yes. Yes, because his accent is not doing any work at all.
Yes, his accent is not convincing anyone, and how in the hell he communicated with anyone in Germany, let alone England, I have no idea. But because he's got a drink in his hand the whole time, he's definitely Irish.
He lives in Germany because he is a member of the IRA, wants a united Ireland, is a professor in Germany of English literature.
Mm-hmm.
And what's ironic about this film is that Michael Caine was approached to play his role, and said, I'm not bloody playing anyone from the IRA. I will, however, play a Nazi. So, even though it's a Nazi that doesn't agree with the Nazis, he's still playing someone on the...
Yes.
Like Ireland just wanted a united Ireland. Hitler wanted all the Jews to die, and then all the blacks to die, and then all the gays to die, and then to take over 2/3 of the world.
Yes, all of these people seem to have that in common. They have very clearly defined goals.
Right.
And Sutherland is a united Ireland, and he is appointed to be the person who will fly in advance.
Yes.
And prepare the way for the paratroopers. So he will pretend to be an ex-soldier, and he becomes the marsh warden in this village where the kidnapping is to take place.
A small sleepy town.
Exactly.
And so we see a bit of that, and then suddenly, like, it shifts a little bit, and all of a sudden it becomes about Donald Sutherland and Jenny Agutter having a sort of flirtatious thing that out of nowhere apparently is suddenly a love affair.
It's immensely frustrating because there's a beach scene which is highly romantic, but no seagulls.
Right.
No seagulls.
No eagles, no seagulls, no hawks,
it's just ridiculous. There's nothing to see there apart from an incredibly fastly developing romance between Sutherland
and incredibly fastly developing Jenny Agutter.
Yes.
Who informs us that she's going to be 19 soon. So don't worry, everybody, it's not creepy.
Yes, not creepy in the slightest. Especially with Sutherland's face.
And car door ears.
Yes.
Which almost look a bit like a bird.
It's as close as we get.
It's as close as we get.
Yes.
His hair is ludicrously ginger and floppy, which look a bit like a plumage.
And he's absolutely got the beak.
And he's got, most definitely got the beak, my goodness. If anyone was the most beaked actor, was maybe an actor that should have been awarded an Oscar for beak acting.
Yes.
It is Donald Sutherland.
Yes, so he wanders around romancing Jenny Agutter and preparing the way for all of these paratroopers in this sleepy little village in the east of England.
Yes, and then I feel like at this point there's a lot of extraneous nonsense. Like, for example, the character of Arthur, who wants Jenny Agutter and is in conflict with Donald Sutherland, Donald the Beak Sutherland. Mm-hmm. Yes, it gives Donald Sutherland a chance to box him, but then the next time we see him, Jenny Agutter puts 2 barrels of a shotgun into his back, and that's it.
Yes, because he's about to expose Sutherland.
No, understood, but like the entire
and
character...
she doesn't want him to.
No, understood, but the entire character is irrelevant.
I'm trying to work out filmically if you could remove him. In the book, he's a much bigger part.
Right.
And there is a backstory to why Agutter hates Arthur.
Right.
And it fleshes out the life in that village. And so
yes,
there's the backstory between Sutherland and Agutter, that's got a whole part in the book. And then, as a result, the Arthur Seymour storyline has a much bigger part in the book because it's intrinsically linked into that.
Yes, and by the way, just to let everybody know that with this movie, the director, who I want to say is John Spires, John Sturgis, someone like that.
Yeah.
He was... a lot of the British crew and cast were very impressed. They were like, oh, we've got this big-named Hollywood director guy who's going to come in. And apparently this was actually ended up being his last film, but at that point he was doing films simply to pay for expensive trips fishing off Baja in California, and therefore was really slapdash and couldn't be bothered, apparently, with directing this in any kind of cohesive way, and then left before the editing, took his money and Ballywell ran back to Baja. So the strength of the film rested actually on the shoulders, the rather magnificent shoulders, I've been told, of Anne V. Coates, who's, of course, famous for 2 films in particular. Lawrence of Arabia, which is obviously a wonderfully made film. And Congo. So, with the talking ape.
A big one on the travel documentaries, then.
Ernie Hudson is in it, with Tim Curry. And this one, she edited this one. The eagle has landed, but scurried away before we could damn well take a picture of it.
Yes, or else you just edited it out.
Right. But no, so that's another reason why maybe they went, oh, well, we'll put in a few scenes just so you get village life. Mm-hmm. But in general, it's a bit... I have to say, the film's ending improves the film with hindsight. Yes. As you're watching the film for the first time, it is a bit like, I'm sorry, what? Like, there isn't a lot of... Like, all I will say to people, if you're sitting down and watching this for the first time, which I have to say I was, it was not one that I'd come across. I mean, I'd heard of it, of course, it's a very famous film, but I'd never sat down and watched it. If you're watching this for the first time, and each sequence you're like, well, wait a minute, now we're with Michael Caine, now we're with Donald Sutherland, now we're with Robert Duvall, where's this all fitting in, where's this all going, why are they falling in love, what's happening here, what's this thing, now Larry Hagman is running around like a damn fool. Stick with it, because at the very end you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. The threads of the storyline are tied together, but what you find with each instance of something like the Arthur Seymour story is you're presented with the plan. The plan for kidnapping Hitler, that would be a whole different film. Kidnapping Churchill, that is the plan, and it's looking good. It's looking like a good plan. It could really easily be done. Everything's going, and then each little thing starts to eat away at the plan. And the whole thing starts to unravel a little bit.
And I think there was
the relationship, the romance is one of those things, because Devlin becomes less sure about what he should be doing, and then the death of Arthur Seymour, and then the incident with the watermill, all of the plans just starts to slowly unravel until it completely falls apart.
Understood. And I think that there is a way to make that film where that makes more sense. Whether it's clearly stating what the plan is, and then, like, for example, something like Ocean's 11 or whatever, they have the plan, it's explained, it's shown to you, this is what we're going to do. Mm-hmm. And then with each wrinkle in the film and in the plan, you as an audience member, because you were there at the planning of it, goes, oh, wait a minute, this is going to be an issue. With this one, I can't say that I was clear about any of it. So when it all started to unravel, I didn't get that same feeling. And then once you've got Larry Hagman running around and driving around and shooting and stuff, it becomes this farcical, like, it almost becomes ridiculous. I mean, Larry Hagman gets shot in the head in a quite gory way, but the way he dies is so utterly hilarious, it might as well be a Buster Keaton routine.
Yes, the idea is to bring in the inept American commander at that point, because all the way through it you're supposed to believe that this could possibly be done, because, we know, we're pretty sure Churchill wasn't kidnapped during the war. Right. So we can suspend our disbelief a little bit, and we think this plan's going to work, it's going to work, and it starts to fall apart. But certain things bring you back up again, and the plan might work, and the fact that the local commander of the American military is an utter moron, as Larry Hagman, I think, does very, very well. Yes. That kind of brings the plan back into balance, so that it maintains the suspense all the way through.
Yes, I just feel that... and let us wait again for our public services to drive by with their... I have to say, it's a very loud ice cream van, but it does bring the children out.
Yes, very good 99s on that one.
I understand what you're saying, and I think that maybe watching this again and again, knowing what I was in for, I would certainly be able to maybe get more wrapped up into it and understand it. I think I was watching it after Where Eagles Dare, waiting for a moment where Caine went, oh, really, I'm a double agent, or a sequence where the British ran in and helped everybody or saved everybody, or like I don't know that I was definitely knew what I was in for, and therefore as the story unfolded, I was a little unsure of where it was going and what was going on. So I think I was waiting for something that was never going to come, and I think it didn't do a good enough job of, you did, because I was able to stop it, and you were able to explain it, and you were like, well, in the book this happens, and this is why this is going on, and da-da-da-da-da. But I don't think the film itself, for someone watching it for a first time, understandably with the wrong expectations, and understandably with maybe the wrong attitude to begin with, I don't think the film fully sets its table correctly, so that when stuff starts knocking things off the table, I don't think that I felt that sense of dread. And also it's difficult because on one hand, we don't want the plan to go right because we're allies, we're watching the movie and we're like, well, we don't want them to succeed. So it's a difficult premise because you're asking an audience member to side with the Germans on the hope that the Churchill does get kidnapped, and in which case then the tension works because you're like, well, we really want this plan to go through. But at no point do I, watching the movie, want the plan to go through. So I don't really care if it falls through or not. In fact, I want it to fall through. I want it to be foiled. I want it to be... So that's where it's difficult to kind of...
It's a classic anti-hero protagonist. You don't want Michael Caine to fail because he's a very decent human being, as we see in lots of examples, and you like the character that he's playing.
I'm not sure that I got the character that he was playing.
Okay, well... I like the character that he's playing, but also you don't want him to succeed. So you've got two conflicting views there, and you don't know how it's going to end up being resolved. So you have to maintain that level of tension.
And I don't think it did for me.
Okay.
But that's because I think that I didn't understand what the film was going to be. I didn't understand who all the characters were. I understand that Caine has inspired loyalty. I understand that he's been heroic. I understand that he doesn't want Jews to die. And I understand that, he makes this big speech. In fact, it's his undoing. But he says, we will wear our German uniforms underneath our Polish ones because they're masquerading as Polish paratroopers on detail or on regiment, on training. And he says, we'll wear our uniforms under here because should the shit hit the fan, we will go down fighting on our own terms for our own country. Mm-hmm. So I understand that about him. But that doesn't, as an audience member who is on the side of the Allies, that doesn't necessarily make me root for him. I wasn't rooting, there was no point that I was rooting for any of this to work. So I don't know that I got the feeling that, I kept waiting for something to happen, and then it doesn't, and then at the very, 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 very end, it does, and you kind of, like the rest of it all, makes sense to some extent.
Yes, it's not the traditional war film in that there's very little in the way of the shooting, the bombing, the dynamite that you get in Where Eagle's There.
Right.
It's essentially a thriller with a war film ending.
Yes, but it's a thriller where the bad guys are the protagonists.
Yes.
Which is interesting. I'm not against that. It's a good concept, I guess, or it's an interesting concept. But I think that I am so used to, the good guy, bad guy dynamic, that watching a film in which it would almost be better if it was kidnapping Hitler and it was a bunch of Allied soldiers. You could still have the same thing of it all falling apart and the cheeky chappies and the weird characters and the loyal characters and the crazy Irish guy, whatever it is, but then it would be more, as it fell apart, it would be almost more kind of fun, but you would also have the tension. You'd be like, no, this has to happen, and then, it would be almost, the ending wouldn't work. You couldn't do the ending if the plan was to kidnap Hitler, because then suddenly the Germans would be revealed as being bloody geniuses. But, up until that, I would rather watch Allied guys trying to kidnap Hitler and failing because of their greed, arrogance, lust, whatever, which is essentially what you're saying. Essentially the plan is we're going to put all this stuff together, and what is going to get in our way is pride in the case of Caine's men, because they're wearing their uniforms, so that when he gets, one of his men gets killed by the rotor of a windmill, a watermill, what are they called? Mills. Heather Mills. When one of his chappies gets killed by the wheel of a mill, his tunic is revealed. So pride reveals them and makes them. Stupidity is the Larry Hagman thing. You have lust in the case of Sutherland. I guess you have a little bit of greed for power in terms of Duvall thinking he can pull this all off.
And in terms of Himmler trying to impress the Fuhrer.
And Himmler trying to impress the Fuhrer, because it turns out that Adolf hasn't sanctioned it. Himmler has just said, let's pretend he has, off we go, and if it all works out, I look like a bally genius, and if it doesn't work out, we can shoot Duvall in the head.
Yes.
And actually, if I'm on anyone's side and feel sorry for anyone, it's Duvall. I'm actually on his side because he was tasked with something, and he did it. Like there's nothing that Duvall does that messes it up, other than he picks these people. But
yeah. Anyway, for your point on wanting to be allies going to Germany to kidnap Hitler, I like the fact that there's a grey area in this one. Whereas, admittedly, there's a lot of swapping of loyalties and where eagles dare, and you're trying to work out who is loyal and who isn't. There's the good guys and the bad guys.
Right.
And that's a clear line. Whereas in The Eagles Landed, you have a grey area because almost everything you see the Germans do is designed to make you like them. You've got the one who can play the organ in the church, and you have the one who gives up his life rescuing a small child.
Right.
And they rescue or try to rescue a Jewish lady. So everything is to indicate that these are good Germans. We are supposed to, if not like them, we can empathise with them. So it becomes a grey area where the American...
And I think the problem with that...
The American colonel's a moron, and we're not supposed to like him.
Right.
And Larry Hagman does it very well. So we have a mixture of characters that we're supposed to like and sympathise and empathise with. So it doesn't give us a clear, this is what we really want to happen at the end of the film. You let the film play out and maintain that suspense in it.
Yes, I just... So the difficulty then to me is I think that maybe, and I don't know why this is, I don't know whether it's the script or whether it's just the way he was playing it, but I'm not sure that Caine is charismatic enough in the role to have me... I understand his men. Like, I kind of almost side with his men more than I side with him. I just don't... there was just nothing about the... Like, Caine needs to be the leader of a ragtag bunch of East End Cockney privates who are...
Italian job.
Right, no, but in a war film, like, he needs to be like, come on, Chet Sisko, fucking dun 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 dun. Like, it needs to be more like, and it didn't work in this. I mean, I know he's trying, but it didn't. To me, it didn't work. And then what's really weird is it then essentially becomes like a shootout in a small English town that was very much like the towns that you and I grew up in.
Yes.
And what was incredible was then I got into... When they start, like, machine gunning things and bazookaing things and all the rest of it in this very, very small, sleepy town where literally there is, there's the reverend of the local church and there's the groundskeeper and there's the guy digging graves. Like, there's, like, a handful of people in the pub. There's a handful of people that we meet in this town. And a couple of children and stuff, which is good because they need another generation.
Yes.
And it was such a small, sleepy town in England that I then became obsessed with the fact that they were firing off a lot of guns and running around graveyards and blasting in stained glasses windows of the churches. And it wasn't like it looked like sugar glass. There was proper, like, lead in between the window pane, like there would be, like they really had to smash it out and stuff. It was definitely old walls. Like, the church's walls were definitely like those old... British brick walls you see where the bricks are starting to corrode and all that. Like, I read online that the gravestones were fake.
Yes. You can see them move when people run up and lean on them.
Right. But in general, a lot of the walls and the village green and the mill and all the rest of it, a lot of that was real. The facades on the building were fake. The little corner shop and all that, that's just a facade. But in general, it was and I'm like... What suddenly became bizarre was it was like shootout at the OK Whitley, or you know what I mean? Like, it was suddenly like a war movie taking place in Godalming or something. Like, it was like Farncombe, the explosion.
It didn't look like Farncombe.
No, not Farncombe there. But let me think, like Ilford or Plaistow.
Yes.
It was like
all places of our youth.
Yeah, so it was odd. Like, this literally could have taken place at the Sun Inn with the church opposite and the thing. Like, It was a whole... And so I kind of got a little bit of a kick out of that, but it was more a movie... It was more of a... Well, this is where I grew up.
Yeah.
There is so much movie trickery being employed here, but there was also enough non-trickery that I was like, they're really... I know it's obviously blanks and stuff, but they're really like doing little dust hits and little explosive hits and stuff on like probably 500-year-old buildings and not even older, 1,000-year-old buildings.
Yeah, it's a convincing ending to the film. You don't think it's a cowboy scene. You don't think it's being contrived in any way. It's a good shootout.
It is difficult to know who everyone is because I'd lost interest at that point. I was a little bit like, well, I don't know who's the good guys and who are the bad guys, so it was difficult to know.
By the time the gunfight has started, everybody has picked a side. It's clear.
Yes, but I couldn't tell what I was looking at because they all were dressed the same.
Right. The blue of the German outfits was eerily similar to the beige of the American outfits.
They don't take the blue out until the very end.
Right.
And even then, I was like, well, wait a minute, which am I siding with now?
I think that's good. That's conflict. We like that. That's fine.
Right. I just don't like...
You like black and white. You don't like the grey area.
No, I like a grey area, but I like a grey... What I was saying is, I have no problem with a movie being... We put a plan in action, and the plan falls apart because of man's idiocy or avarice, right? Totally like that idea as a thing. And you can be grey and conflicted and ambiguous and all the rest of it. I just didn't think that this set that up like that. And it's also very, very, very difficult to do that if, despite all their good nature, they're still... We want to strip down to the uniforms of Mother Germany and blast the hell out of people. Like, that's very difficult to watch that and go, well they're decent men because they saved a child. I mean, it's
the Mitchell and Webb sketch, isn't it? It's when they're looking at each other and saying, with the SS uniform on, and going, are we the bad guys?
Are we the bad guys? Yeah, we've got skulls on our hats. Skulls never denote anything good. Yeah, no, I mean, that's true. And that was difficult for me. And I think it was difficult... I will put the blame on Where Eagles Dare more than I will put the blame on The Eagle Has Landed, because I think had we not watched that before, and had we sat down and you were like, this is what this movie is, and then we put it in, I may have enjoyed it more. I just think it was interesting to read that this was a movie made in the editing, because I feel like, yes, now I look at it, this was a movie made in the editing, and I think if that's all she had to work with, then yes, she did a bloody good job editing the film. However, had a director who'd given two shakes of a monkey's nuts actually worked on the damn thing, and maybe structured the script in a way where I'm like, okay, this is what this is, and it set its table up, and away we go, rather than all this stuff about penal colonies and punishment boats where I'm like, well, I don't know, I don't have a frame of reference for any of that because I haven't read the book and I haven't read the history of it and da-da-da-da-da. So all of a sudden, like, you're explaining it to me, which was great, because if you hadn't been there, it'd be like me watching cricket without you sat next to me going, that's what that guy is doing, because I wouldn't have a fucking clue. Or likewise, me watching baseball, if my buddy Nick wasn't sat next to me, I'd be like, I don't know who any of these people are, unless Nick is sat. So you being there helped, and it certainly helped me to like stop the nagging voices in my head and enjoy the film. But I feel like if it just as a movie, it doesn't. It's very complicated and and needlessly so. I don't mean it's complicated in its plotting. I mean it's complicated in its presentation of the plot.
Right home
was my feeling.
Okay.
In terms of the acting and everything, I thought Duvall was excellent.
Generally is.
I even liked Sutherland, even with his little twiddly-dee accent. It was fine. Agutter just gets to play the teenage tease, which is kind of what she always plays. Even now. I wouldn't mind being teased in a teenage way by Jenny Agutter. Yes. Caine, I think, is the weak link in the movie. Caine is the one that I'm not buying as that role.
I don't know. I think he's playing against type, which I like. It's not a traditional Michael Caine cheeky cockney.
Oh, hello, my name's Michael Caine.
There we go. It's not that. It's not that. It's a very, very different performance. So maybe that's why it's difficult to. And I think
had he therefore gone with an accent or gone with something that the trouble is he's walking around being Michael Caine, but I'm meant to buy him as this.
He does raise his accent rather. He's not Cockney in this.
No, but he's still wandering around being Michael Caine, but just because he's straightened his shoulders and looks into the middle distance and talks about Mother Germany doesn't necessarily to me, I'm just like, it's the wrong casting. To me.
Okay.
For that role. I think there is
Best parts of it?
Larry Hagman's running around was hilarious.
Yes, that was great.
And completely a tonal shift for the movie. Like, all of a sudden, it could have had... Like, it could have had yakety sax playing over the top of it, with Hagman running around like an American Basil Fawlty, and that was absolutely hilarious. Like, had the movie been that, I would have thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought there was a few shots on the airfield before Caine takes off, with all of them in their uniforms, and Duvall has his big hat on and stuff like that. And the way that was shot, I thought that was beautifully shot. I thought the fact that there was a gunfight in an old English church and it wasn't obvious that they were shooting around the fact that they were ancient buildings, but they were actually like blowing up ancient buildings and smashing out the windows and everything. I thought that was jolly good fun. Sutherland was probably my favourite character in it. I liked him. Again, an ambiguous, selfish, consumed with everything that wasn't the plan. Like, I liked him. So it's not about me not liking kind of grey, criminal, ambiguous characters. Also, he was with the IRA. So it's not like he's on... But there was something... Like, he played the character well. Like, I followed that character and I was like, I totally understand that guy. And I don't necessarily side with him, but I'm happy to watch him fail. Like, that's fun. But again, I didn't understand the end of it, the whole letter thing, and I wrote it in a letter, and then he goes off and she stays, or does she stay, or do they go off together? Like, I didn't get any of that. None of that. The whole ending of their story was completely confusing to me. I didn't get it. In fact, most of the end, in terms of what happens to Caine, what happened, all of that I didn't know. I knew what happened to Duvall. He got shot weirdly in the middle of the daytime, even though it was still nighttime in that time zone.
We quite clearly saw what happened to Caine.
What happens to Caine?
This doesn't bode well for your understanding of the piece if you don't remember the finale.
Oh, he gets shot?
Yes.
Right, okay. Yeah, he gets shot. Okay.
Anyway, so there's some
that was
highlights.
the other thing. That was the other thing. He didn't sell the fact that he was going to complete the mission no matter what. Like that, I never... Like, why would a soldier who was... loyal to Germany, but not necessarily loyal to the Fuhrer, why would he suddenly care when his entire platoon has been wiped out and he has the option to get on a boat and go? Why would his role there? Then I've got to suddenly side with a guy who's like, no, fuck it, I'm going to go shoot Churchill.
You don't have to side with him. That's not the point. You're not having to put yourself in his shoes. You're not having to hope that he succeeds. You just have to understand that that's his mission. But... So high points for you are Sutherland and his twiddly accent.
Sutherland I liked as a character. Small English village, lovely. The shots on the airfield, Duvall, and Donald Pleasence. Every scene that Donald Pleasence is in is a thrill.
Yes. It's our trivia question for this week, folks. How many other films have two top-billed Donalds?
I don't know. I'd have to.
No, this is for this week trivia.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to answer that now.
So write in, email us at hello@aftermoviediner.com. Call us at 347-669-0053. Tweet us or Facebook us at aftermoviediner, and tell us which other film has a top two billed Donalds.
Yes. Also, Telegram and...
Two top billed Donalds, not top two billed Donalds. We're not looking for... We're not looking for a duck called Donald that has two bills. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for a top billed two Donalds. We have to be very clear about that.
Yes. Otherwise, all of the emails will be ignored. And carrier pigeons will be eaten.
Yes. Although at least that would be a bird content.
It would, because we still have not, so far, had any birds.
Even at the last bit with the estuary, with the boat on its side. Whose boat was that?
That was the escaping German boat, the
So they never
only
escaped?
boat we saw in the film.
They never escaped?
No.
But, okay. That's confusing.
Not really.
Well, they underestimated tidal flow. I mean, that's the end. I don't... Okay.
None of the Germans escaped.
Okay.
Unless they'd left the boat there and decided to swim across the English Channel.
Right.
Which, given that one of them was quite severely injured, I would doubt.
Right. He could have tongued his way across the English.
But you're right, we're in an estuary, we're by the sea, and there are no birds.
Right.
Not a single one.
Not so much as a sea tit.
Nope. Not a sea tit, not a wave tit.
No. Sandbank tit, none of them.
No.
None of the tits. But no, I have to say, you see, for me it's difficult. I could only, for Donald Pleasence it gets 5, because it's Donald Pleasence.
Yes.
As a movie it gets 3. Mm-hmm. My favourite bit about the Donald Pleasence sequences are the fact that he has not one, but 2 photos of Adolf Hitler on his desk.
Yes.
One is a close-up photo of Hitler's face. Mm-hmm. The other one is a posed photo of Hitler relaxing or whatever, or like posing or leaning or something.
Yes.
He has them staggered on his desk, but later when we go back to his office, he's moved one over to the other side.
I like that, because to me that implies that at some point he's picked up the picture,
yes,
kissed it, and put it back down again.
Yeah. But I love the fact that the set dresser was like, well, how do we dress his office? And so, well, we have to have pictures of Hitler. It was almost like there was that bit where they went into the storeroom, wherever it was, in Where Eagles Dare, and they were like, how do we denote that these are German folders? Put a swastika on one of the
German
box
files
folders.
now.
Yeah, they're files, yeah. That was clearly like just a stuck-on swastika, you know. But yes, the Eagle has landed. It's one that I feel like I will probably want to revisit in a couple of years to see if the points you have made play out. I think if I'd understood the structure better, the structure of here's a plan, it seems like a simple plan, but it's all going to fall apart due to man's ineptitude, I would probably have enjoyed it more had I known that was what I was in for.
Yes. I like it. I think there's a level of complexity which Where Eagles Dare doesn't have, because you've got the ambiguity of each character and who you care about and who you don't care about and who the victims are. So it requires a bit more thought rather than, oh, look, Eastwood shot someone again.
True. I mean, I think it needs a better script.
Yeah. The direction is, as we said, lazy. Thoroughly lazy.
It needs a better script that's more explanatory. The best line in the whole film was when the priest says to him, "Ha ha, my sister has exposed you and foiled your plans." And Caine says, "I believe my plan was foiled when one of my men tried to save your young girl in there." Which is a great line. Like,
yes.
That kind of sums up kind of what's going on right there in the film. The whole movie needed to have that, and it didn't really have that. It didn't have those... Whereas at least Where Eagles Dare, when Burton gets to do a zinger, there's a few zingers.
Yes. So for me, again, it's a 3 to 4. It loses because of the level of direction. And it gains because it's got Donald Pleasence playing Himmler, and that there couldn't be much better than that. Right.
And do you know, an interesting factoid about this is with The Great Escape, this movie, and one other movie, and I forget, I'm sorry what the middle movie is, but Donald Pleasence is the only actor to have played someone in a concentration camp, and then in this other film, which I can't remember, but this is on his Wikipedia page, so you can look it up, he plays a commandant in the concentration camp that sends them to their death. And then in this movie, he plays Himmler, who orders them, or in reality ordered the guy to put them to death. And so he's the only actor to have played all 3 roles over the course of 3 different films.
That must have been very confusing for him.
And he was one of the only people in The Great Escape who had actually served in World War II and been in a concentration camp.
Indeed.
Because he was a prisoner of war, Donald Pleasence. Shot down out of his plane. He was a rear gunner.
So, Massive plus for the Donald Pleasence appearance.
Yes.
Inspired casting there.
Yes.
I can't watch Sutherland very easily without the Irishisms making me want to strangle him with his own ears.
Right. He's not doing a bad job. I mean, I've seen a lot worse.
I've seen worse as well, but it's very, very unconvincing, and you can hear a lot of it's been redubbed.
Right.
So it's obviously they've had to work up to the level of awful because he was clearly worse on set.
Okay.
So that, whatever the first takes were, they must be astonishingly funny. So, lose a bit of points for that. Jenny Agutters doesn't do much, but she's a lovely person to have in a film.
I'll always have time for the Agutters.
And an award, as you said, should be given for Jenny Agutters' horse, which would have felt very pleased with its...
Lucky horse.
Lucky horse.
Never ever wears a saddle, so there really is nothing between them but the thin wisp of a jodhpur.
Now you're disturbing my train of thought.
Yes.
No, it's gone. Anyway, Larry Hagman for being ludicrous,
right,
and brilliantly so.
Right.
Just completely over the top and silly, and I really enjoyed that.
And again, a complete sort of 180 for the movie at that moment, where all of a sudden it becomes mad American General.
So, good points, bad points. Again, for me, I'd put it equally as Where Eagles There. It's a 3 to 4.
Right.
For me, probably not up to 4%, just for stars, just because it's so badly put together from a directorial point of view.
Yeah.
It looks lovely at times. And the story does flow. I think you should watch it again. I think you'll get a lot more from it.
Yes.
But yeah, there's some inherent flaws in there. I don't think Michael Caine's as bad as you say, but I haven't seen.
Bad. I just think it was bad
casting. As many Caine films probably as you, so I don't box him quite so much.
No, and I'm not. It's not that he's not a Cockney who's leading a ragtag band of things. Although I certainly would be rather watching that film. It's more just that whatever the choices he's making, and he's played lots of different roles in his life and to great success. And I've no problem with him playing different characters. Just whatever the choices are that he's making, I'm sat there as an audience member going, oh, I wish he wasn't doing that, doing something else. But it's again, I blame the script because I think it's a nothing part. I think that there should be much more to it. He either needs to be more soldierly in the sense that I should get a much greater feeling that he is married to the army than I do, or he has to be more have more personality, and therefore have more lines and have more. Like I don't remember apart from that one bit I just said. I don't remember Caine saying very much. He goes, I'll ask my men. You know what I mean? Like there's little bits, but like it's not. I don't know. Whereas I suppose because Donald Sutherland is talking all the time, I'm more drawn to him because I understand what's going on there.
Yes. Either way, I find it overall it's good fun. Not really that serious a film in the end.
No, it's not a serious film. It's sort of all over the place.
Good, entertaining wander through a strange chapter that obviously didn't happen, or did it in World War II?
Right. And I think the ending saves it. I think the explanation that really the Allies were on top of it all along, for my ally-loving British arse, I liked that, because then I was like, oh, okay, great. It was always meant to fail. Like, it was always meant to just be this thing that it was.
I'm very pleased that the film wasn't a disappointment for your arse.
Right. So with that, I think we're done. We've wrapped up 2 war movies quite successfully. We've talked about Donald Pleasence. We've talked about things. I'm more of a Where Eagles Dare guy. You're more of an Eagle Has Landed guy. We both like there to be more eagles in general.
Yes.
And
a general dearth of bird life in both.
In any of them. Yes. We both are perfectly happy with an Agutter or an depending on who's knocking about. And in general, it was a wonderful day's films. I mean, to me, war films like this are a rainy Sunday afternoon movies.
Yes.
That's where they are best enjoyed. Now, we had a lazy Saturday, which equally works, but they're plop your bum down on a sofa, put them on and go away for a few hours. Just enjoy yourself.
Quite right, quite right. The irony being, of course, now today is a rainy Sunday.
It is.
And we're doing this instead of watching rainy Sunday films.
Right.
So one can't help but think we may have got this the wrong way around. We should probably have recorded this first.
Right.
And then watch the films.
Yes.
Yes.
But that would have been difficult. This is the easier way round to have done it.
I'm not saying it wouldn't have been a challenge.
Right, no, it would have been a challenge.
But then we would be here on a rainy Sunday doing a rainy Sunday afternoon thing.
True, and we would probably, had we recorded this yesterday and watched the films today, assumed more birds. We probably would have spent more of the podcast.
I think we would imagine just naturally there would be more birds in both films.
Yes.
We would have been shocked, I think, by the lack of eagles.
Yes.
But that's it would have been difficult. Obviously, that's made up quite a lot of content of this podcast.
Right.
So perhaps you're right. Perhaps we are more fortuitous that way because we had the comment about the lack of birds.
I'd like to put a disclaimer in here as well. There were no fish either.
That's very true. I wonder what these people have got against wildlife.
I don't know. So I don't want people going, well, this is... It might not be a bird-heavy film, but maybe it's an aquatic life-heavy film. Not at all.
No, it's really... Both films, there's a horse.
There's a horse.
One horse.
One solitary horse.
One solitary, very happy horse.
Yes.
And that's it. So if you're looking for any form of wildlife, any form of nature, I suggest you head elsewhere.
Yes. I mean, even the Gestapo officer in Where Eagles Dare didn't have a comedy parakeet or a toucan or something.
No, and even almost constantly in films you see someone hanging off the edge of a building or a cliff or anything like that, and they're disturbed by a bird suddenly flapping in their faces, like they always do when you're on the ground.
Right.
For example.
Yes.
That always didn't happen in Where Eagles Dare, even when they're all abseiling off the building.
Or in horror movies where it tends to be a cat. A cat jumps on a window, a cat jumps on the sink, a cat jumps on your face. Like, things happen in horror movies with cats.
Yes,
not a feline in the place in these two movies.
No, it's very true. That's more because cats generally try to just mess with your head.
Wait a moment. There was a dog in The Eagle Has Landed. There were dogs, because there was this whole mad side
there
plot.
Was the dog whistling.
There was a whole mad side plot about Donald Sutherland and his fucking dog whistle.
Right.
He suddenly goes all Crocodile Dundee on the dogs.
Yes, another reason I can't watch it. Apparently you get a very, very angry dog and you whistle at it and it behaves.
You whistle at it and point at it.
Yes. Not something I would try at home, kids.
In the same way that with Crocodile Dundee, if you're rampaging water buffalo, just hum and do the little finger thing, and it'll go to sleep.
Whistle and wiggle your hand, and then people try it.
There were dogs. There were dogs throughout The Eagle Has Landed.
Yes. You've ruined our theory there. So Where Eagles Dare, no animals whatsoever.
No animals. Not even a dog.
No. Can't remember any animals whatsoever in Where Eagles Dare.
No.
Eagles Landed.
Horse.
1, 2, 3 dogs and a horse. Three dogs I can think of off the top of my head.
Well, there's the 2 Dobermans.
And the Irish Wolfhound.
In Where Eagles Dare, they look through binoculars and he goes, they have dogs. I don't think we see the dogs. They're not in close-up, they're in long shot. But they do look through the binoculars and he says, they have Dobermans.
Yes, I'm suspicious about that because they have that scene where he looks through the binoculars and says, I believe they have Dobermans.
Yes.
And then they get down there and you never see the Dobermans again.
No dogs.
Yes.
Yes.
So I think that's a bit of a red herring, which we also didn't see.
No herrings.
No herrings.
No red ones, no green ones,
no
purple with a yellow striped ones.
Yes.
So there we go. The whistling dog theory. That knocks a point off. I think the whistling dog, like it's a fairly comical film, agreed. But the whistling dog makes it magic. I mean, every single answer to his character is, in Ireland.
Yes.
As if Ireland is just this fucking land full of dog whistling madmen.
Well, bear in mind there may be some family listening. Of course it's not like that at all. They're also drunk.
Right. No, but I do, there is something that just winds me the fuck up about the whole, all the Irish are salt of the earth, animal-loving, twiddly-dee music, romantic poetry writing, rough-suited, red-nosed, lovely people. And I'm like, they're all human beings. We're all human beings. There's enough ruddy faces in other parts of the world as there are in Ireland.
Exactly, which is my issue with the Sutherland character.
Right.
He's thoroughly unconvincing, and when he's not talking stupidly, he's whistling at dogs.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's one step away from a fucking leprechaun.
Yes.
And with that, let us end.
There are no leprechauns in it either.
No. Or healthy corns.
No.
You don't want leprechauns because they do bits drop off them.
Mm-hmm. But you do want peppercorns, though I don't remember seeing them anywhere, but they must have featured.
They must have done.
Yes.
Well, Sutherland doesn't like a pepperless steak.
Well, who does?
Jeff Assel.
Well, he's a total asshole. Too easy?
Dr. Aloysius Fuknuckle.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And my absolute pleasure to be here.
Years after his experiences in the Stalin Luftwaffe, it was time to go back to a POW camp for our bully hero Don. He's a bully hero Don. He was one of the stars of the Great Escape, to have actually been a World War II prisoner. And as Messemer, who played Colonel Lugo, oh, he was the other. He had been captured by America and had even done some time in Russia. Oh, when Pleasence kindly offered his advice to director John Sturges, he was politely asked to keep his opinions to himself. He was asked to resist all those helpful urges. But later, when another star from the film informed him that Pleasence had been a prisoner and tortured, Sturges requested Pleasence's technical advice and input on historical accuracy from that point forward. He said, Don, I want you from this point forward. Ironically, he played one of the would-be great escapees in the first film, and one of the German executioners in the second. Strangely, he even played the role of the SS Gestapo chief, Heinrich Himmler, in the film The Eagle Has Landed. Himmler was the one who ordered the secret murder of the 50 prisoners. Yes, their deaths by him were demanded. Oh, I had to rhyme with The Eagle Has Landed, so I said, yes, their deaths by him were demanded. Thus, Pleasence is likely to be one of the only few actors to have ever portrayed all three roles of murder, conspirator, executioner, and victim. Although technically he was not among the 50, his character died early. Oh yeah, technically he wasn't part of the 50, cause his character died early. I'm sorry if I just spoiled the film, The Great Great Escape because you hadn't seen it. I'm sorry, I assumed everyone listening to an album all about Donald Pleasence, they would have seen it.